There are many ways to tell a story, many ways to remember, recall one's past. In an instant we can travel back and forth, feel the same feelings, hear the same sounds and smell the same smells. Time is just an illusion. So where should I start? Yes. I'm standing by the railing, looking at an endless blue horizon and feeling the warm west winds. We had been lucky. For a month, the sea had been our friend. Only blue skies, a steady breeze, and soft swells. The ship's name was La Boussole. She carried the French flag and was sent out by King Louis himself to map the world. Uncharted islands beyond the Coral Sea. But 2 weeks had now passed since we last saw any land. A feeling was spreading among the crew that we had missed our goal, that we were lost. And very soon our fortunes would get even worse, a lot worse. There came upon us a great storm, wind and thunder. Are faint, only fragments, short glimpses of shouts and rising despair, and the taste of salt as I hit the water. And just like that, I was swallowed by the sea, lost in the deep. The storm was over, and the sea was calm, and I was alive. And as I took my first steps in that unknown land, it felt strange and wonderful, as if I saw the world for the first time. And there I found it, a bag from the ship, another lucky survivor of the storm.
Something in the back of my head told me a rope could be good to keep.
Not many people I knew back in England were good swimmers, least of all me. But then I thought, how hard can it be? Just move your arms and keep your head above the water, Uncle Thomas used to say. I never saw him swim, though.
Although glad to be alive, soon I began to realize, in truth, how terrible was my condition. I had a dreadful deliverance, for I was wet, had no clothes to shift me, nor anything to eat or drink to comfort me. Neither did I see any prospects before me, but that of perishing with hunger or being devoured by the frying sun. The shards from the bottle really looked sharp.
Captain Abraham Smith, the Mary Ann, Friday, August the 5th, 1778. 2 weeks have passed now since we left Hervey Island, our last known land before the open sea. We're not far from our goal. Just a blank spot on the chart, in the middle of the Pacific, from what I can tell. But Lord Stevenson is convinced there's land there. Exactly how we acquired it...
As the date suggested, this log was written over 10 years ago. But who put it in a bottle? It made no sense to me. A queer little creature it was. It put me in a good mood. I felt like giving it a name. Maybe Robert after a friend. Or Jane. It was hard to tell. I could already feel the sun burning my poor head, nearly bringing it to a boil. At that time, I would have given anything for a fine hat.
As a child, I was afraid of deep waters, terrified by the notion that anything could appear out of the blue. Beasts unknown to man, giant creatures visiting from the darkest parts of the deep. But as a grown, sensible man, such childish thoughts did not affect me.
I could see this island was not alone. Far away on the horizon there were sharp rocks, a small oasis of hope in a vast blue desert.
I started to feel a fatigue creeping up on me. Maybe I wasn't as good a swimmer as I first thought. I wouldn't have the strength to go much further. I felt my arms slowly starting to fail me, and panic rising inside. Would this be my end? Oh, if I only would have been a better swimmer. And that was that. A fast and tragic ending to my adventures. Maybe I should rewrite that last part. It felt a bit abrupt. So where was I? Oh yes, I woke up.
On the beach I found driftwood from a far-off continent. stranded there like me after many years at sea.
On the shore I picked seashells, and I felt the first thrill of loneliness. It felt good somehow, keeping myself occupied.
All day I worked on my new project, and for a while, gone was my thirst and hunger.
I was rather proud of my work, and although it could use some improvements, it was a fine vessel and worthy of a good name. I decided to call it the Conqueror. It gave me some of my spirits back. Even though I was disappointed at first, I decided to keep it. Something told me I could make good use of this chest, maybe to store all my new belongings, and keep the Conqueror clean and tidy. I haven't yet told you how I ended up there, thousands of miles from my home country, or even told you who I am. On the ship they knew me as Francois Bonnet, the name I made up as I boarded in Botany Bay. My real name would probably have led to my death if anyone found out, or worse, put me back into the colony. I had the feeling that someone in the crew had already found my secret, but it was too late now. That ship was no more. I had seen it sink, most likely with everyone on board. Snitches, pompous captains, but also new comrades. I decided not to think about it.
In the evening of my first day, when the sun was setting and the sky was on fire, water and heaven became my great open cathedral, and as darkness covered the face of the deep, I lost all sense of time. Left was only the sea, the soft wind, and the salt air. I was alone. My chances were poor, but I was free, roaming the Pacific waves, proud captain of my own ship. Well, vessel. The Conqueror.
I could suddenly feel tiredness coming over me. If I would lie down, I knew I would fall asleep instantly. And there, I saw some creatures on the shore, living their lives in their own peculiar way, probably wondering who this new animal was, disembarking on their island.
And on that foreign ground, I lay down, and very soon I was asleep. That night I had strange dreams of people and places from a long-gone life, memories I had worked so hard to forget, something I had finally succeeded with. I dreamt of Emily. It's raining. We're standing by a large window in the hallway, looking out over the dark garden. Her usual smile is not there. Her face is serious. There's something I need to do. Far away, and I might not come back. Then she's silent, looking at me for a brief moment before she turns around. And I do not tell her to stay. I just stand there, watching her as she finally walks away. The clear picture then fades. Settings and faces get mixed. They morph, mutate, and turn into very different dreams. I dreamt of the ship from that strange message in a bottle. I'm standing beside Captain Smith on the bow. The wind is quiet. The sun is setting, and before us there are big clouds, dark shapes on the horizon. The famous Lord Stevenson is not to be seen, but there is a faint light from his cabin in the rear quarters. Then I realized I have heard his name before. Lord Walter Stevenson, even seen his portrait in a dimly lit corridor many years before. An old but vigorous man in a red velvet coat and with eyes that have seen the world. Captain Smith then suddenly looks at me, interrupting my thoughts. Slowly he raises his hand and points at something in the distance, and he's just about to say something when it all starts to fade away. And then I woke up, and for a moment I could not remember where I was. But then it all started to come back, and I could feel the sun rising. Ow! It was going to be a hot day. For such a small creature, the pain was quite large.
And that was how my end came to be. Maybe I should edit that last part. Can I never get this right? So where was I? Oh yes, I woke up. And for some reason I found myself on the raft.
It had really been a violent storm. Cargo was scattered everywhere.
Captain Abraham Smith,